middle child of 5 in a large Catholic family on Long Island. And I went to Catholic elementary school until I went to a public high school and my parents couldn't afford the tuition anymore at a Catholic school. But I remember being very involved in church activities. I enjoyed the biblical stories, all the traditions, the music, preparing for the sacraments, and especially the holidays. And I always considered myself Catholic, but as time went on and I didn't really get involved, I stopped getting involved, and I wasn't as intentional about my spiritual life. And my attendance, unfortunately, started getting limited to holidays, weddings, and funerals. I knew something was missing, but I still always maintained that I believed in God. So, I didn't know what to do with that. I just kind of went about my life and said, well, I believe in God, and I almost shut that part of my life being active aside. And I started referring to myself as a non-practicing Catholic. And it's clear now that I was the one who ceased nurturing this relationship with God. Because I still had this childlike perception of this all-powerful God that was untouchable. And I started thinking about, as I got older, well, what would he care for my struggles or my joys or my issues? That seemed so small in what he was capable of doing. And my perception of traditional prayer started to seem forced and unnatural to me. So unconsciously, like I said, I started shutting him out of my life. And it took me many painful years to discover that God would be whatever I needed him to be in my life. I could have a personal relationship with God that was natural and conversational. My breaking point came in my mid-20s when it became too much of a burden to seem like I had it all together. I was an overachiever, a perfectionist, and tried to control all aspects of my life. Externally, I seemed happy, the life of the party, self-assured, confident, successful. But internally, I was self-conscious, a people pleaser, and completely exhausted from holding onto these unhealthy perceptions and unrealistic perceptions I had of myself. And I literally remember one day looking into the mirror, and I was horrified by the anguish I saw in my eyes. It really scared me and took me back, and I felt like I was looking at a shell of myself. And at that moment I realized all I really want was inner peace and serenity in my life. And without even thinking, I looked at myself again in the mirror and I just said, God help me. It was simple and direct. And it was clear that I couldn't do it on my own anymore, and I was just too far gone into my destructive behaviors. So at that moment, God's presence in my life was so profoundly felt. I was awed at how clear and distinct it was. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I must be in really bad shape if I'm getting a personal message, because it was clear. And that was the opening I needed to start pursuing this relationship with God.